Good afternoon. I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory, and this is just a snapshot of your Easter weekend. And I want to point just a few things out for you here. First of all, note the temperatures. It gets a little bit cooler each day. Those temperatures are trending down. The rain chances, we do have a few very spotty showers, maybe even a thunderstorm possible this afternoon, but most of us are going to stay dry today. Tomorrow, a very different story. Widespread rain is likely on Saturday. That does clear out Saturday night, though. Easter Sunday is going to be mostly sunny, but it is going to be noticeably cooler. We have added an alert day for Saturday, mainly because it's going to be impactful to a lot of people's Easter weekend plans, not necessarily because there's much of a severe weather threat. Really on Saturday, we are just expecting widespread rain. It's going to be very rainy. There's a lot of Easter egg hunts and plans that people have that may be impacted by this. And within the rain and thunderstorms we're going to see Saturday, there's also a very isolated chance we could see some flooding or maybe some gusty winds as well. So we're going to start with the timing. Let me pull the Facebook video up super quick so that I can make sure I can see your comments. I've got to make sure I remember to do that. We've already got a couple. A happy Good Friday to you as well, Jeanette and Jeff Miller there. Okay, let's talk timing. We do have a few very, very spotty showers out there now. I mean, you have to really look. The white spots you see on the map there, those are clouds. So you can see anywhere you've got gray, that's actually the base map there. So that's where we're getting sunshine. The white is clouds. So we've got a real mix of sun and clouds over the tri-state, but just a few of those clouds are producing rain. If you look closely, those little bitty green dots you see there are just a few very, very spotty showers across the tri-state. So as we move forward with the afternoon, it's possible we could see a few more of these spotty rain showers, especially across the southeastern half of the tri-state, but really think many of us are going to stay dry. And if you do see any rain, it shouldn't last very long. Any rain we see pop up this afternoon will then clear back out as we get into this evening, and overnight tonight will be partly to mostly cloudy, but mainly dry. Tomorrow, a very different story. This rain starts to push in from the west early Saturday morning, probably moving into southeast Illinois close to 7 a.m. or so. Some models put it closer to 6, but sometime early Saturday morning. And then that rain will spread from west to east across the tri-state as we go through the first half of the day on Saturday. So for those of you who are farther southeast, places like Owensboro, Hancock County, over into Ohio County there, if you've got plans early in the day Saturday, you might be able to get those done before the rain moves in. Easter egg hunts and things like that in the morning, specifically in the southeast, may be all right. But then as we go through the day, that rain's really going to spread across the whole region. And I think by about lunchtime, 11 o'clock or noon, everyone should be prepared for the fact that you'll probably be dealing with some rain by then or shortly thereafter. So that rain is going to move in by about lunchtime for the entire tri-state. For those of you west of I-69, it'll probably start sometime in the morning. Then we continue to see scattered rain and some thunderstorms through the afternoon. Notice the bright yellow, orange, and red color showing up there, indicating that possibility. Not that this is exactly what the radar will look like at 1 p.m., but that there's this potential for heavy rain and thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. That heavy rain threat will start to push off to the southeast as we go through Saturday evening. The rain will become lighter and more scattered kind of on the tail end of this before gradually tapering off from west to east as we head into Saturday night. Then Easter Sunday, as I mentioned, will be mostly sunny and dry. In total, most of us are probably going to pick up 3/4 of an inch to an inch of rain, so probably a little less than an inch for most of us. But if you get caught in a thunderstorm with some heavy rain, an inch to maybe even an inch and a half is not something I would totally rule out, but I think over an inch would be pretty isolated. Most of us are going to fall just short of that. The heavier rain is expected to stay to our south-southwest. Notice the spots of purple there showing up across the deep south and over into parts of Missouri, Arkansas, and then especially as you get down into Oklahoma and Texas there, that's where you see the greater threat of flooding through the next couple of days. Looking at the severe weather threat, We're not outlooked for any severe weather today. We've got those very spotty showers out there this afternoon. We could maybe get a stray thunderstorm, but we're not expecting any severe weather today. Any severe weather threat has ended for us. Looking at the outline for today, though, you can clock that risk of severe weather off to the west here. The greatest risk is up around Iowa and Missouri, but you've got this level 2 risk that stretches from Iowa and Illinois all the way back into Texas. That's that cold front that is going to push through the tri-state then on Saturday. Now, it seems like the greatest risk of severe weather is going to be just to our northeast on Saturday. The Storm Prediction Center did do an update just a little bit ago and make some changes to this map. Initially, this marginal level 1 risk kind of came all the way down into the tri-state. So they've pulled it back just a few miles and pulled it most of the way out of the tri-state. I still think there's that potential for maybe an isolated stronger storm. I'll be curious to see if tomorrow, kind of when there's a shift change and they draw a new map, if the person tomorrow decides to pull it back down. But either way, the messaging for us stays the same. We were never expecting widespread severe weather tomorrow. Either way, our chances of getting any severe storms on Saturday are very slim. Like I said, this alert day is not because we think there's a major severe weather threat tomorrow. It's because the weather's just going to be kind of nasty. And there's a lot of outdoor plans tomorrow. It's a holiday weekend. So it's going to be very impactful for a lot of people, even if it's not severe. And we really want to focus on the impacts and how this weather is going to influence your life and how you plan your weekend. So we're not worried about tornadoes. Earlier today, they had us outlooked for hail, and I said then I didn't agree with that. So I'm totally on board with them pulling us out of any kind of hail risk. I would not be shocked if the wind risk gets pulled back down a little bit. Right now, it just barely clips the tri-state, and then we're all in that level 1 flooding risk. So overall, the threat for severe weather is very low, but a little localized flooding or even an isolated damaging wind gust can't be totally ruled out as those storms are rolling through the tri-state tomorrow. So again, Saturday is a first alert weather day, widespread rain. Everyone's going to get good soaking rainfall through the day on Saturday, and then there's just that very isolated chance we could maybe get a little flooding or a damaging wind gust if one of those thunderstorms really gets going. But the main impact here is there are a lot of family gatherings, Easter egg hunts, and whatnot going on tomorrow. A lot of those are planned to be outside, and I wanted to draw your attention to the fact that you need to have a backup plan to move things indoors, because there's a good chance it will be raining or maybe even storming at the time that you had initially planned. Checking in on the comments real quick. I already said good afternoon to Jeanette and Jeff. Zach, no severe weather today. No severe weather today. Very, very slim chance even tomorrow, but no severe weather today. And good afternoon, Laura and Lindsay, watching from Dawson Springs and Henderson. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's talk temperatures here, because we've gotten very accustomed to the 80s around here. And I think Easter Sunday may come as a shock to some people, because it is not going to be this warm on Easter Sunday. Our temperatures are in the low to mid 80s right now. It's 82 in Evansville and Owensboro, but Mount Vernon and Madisonville are up to 84. As has been the case for much of this week, our winds are coming from the southwest. Now, oftentimes people think of wind as making things chillier. You think of wind chill, but really winds from the south, that's what warms us up. That is pulling warm air from the south up into the tri-state. So even though we have not had a ton of sunshine today, it's kind of been bits and pieces of sun throughout the day, this wind is what's actually warming us up, and that's what's pushing those temperatures into the low to mid 80s this afternoon. We've even had wind gusts upwards of 25 miles an hour in most locations. So it's not as windy as yesterday, but there's still a good breeze out there today, and because it's coming from the southwest, I still think we're going to climb another degree or two this afternoon. We're at 82 right now in Evansville. I went with a forecast of 83. I would not be shocked if we got to 84. And you may be thinking, who cares? Why is this person, out here, mincing degrees here? But it's because 84 would be yet another record. We've had a lot of records. We set 4 of them in the month of March. So it would just be interesting to see if we then set another record yet again today. And if we make it to 84, we would tie the previous record that was set back in the 40s. Overnight tonight, Lows dip down into the mid 60s. So again, we still have that southerly breeze, partly cloudy, warm wind from the south, keeps us on the warmer end of things with lows only dipping into the mid 60s. But then tomorrow we've got that rain moving in, and that keeps us on the cooler side. So the rain's cooling us down, winds are still coming from the south trying to warm us up, and the result will be our temperatures just basically don't go much of anywhere. We start the day with lows in the mid 60s, and then we're just going to kind of hang out in the upper 60s to low 70s through most of the day. Now I put on here that the wind will be coming from the southwest because that'll be the case for most of the day, all morning and probably the first half of the afternoon. But sometime Saturday afternoon, the actual cold front bringing us all this rain is going to push through the tri-state. And when that happens, you're going to see this change in your wind direction, and the temperatures will quickly start to drop back through the 60s and the 50s, and will eventually bottom out somewhere in the lower 40s. Oh man, I forgot to move my holidays. I hate when that happens. Easter is obviously on Sunday. This is left over from yesterday. You have to manually slide them every day, and I forgot to. So Sunday, starting the day with morning lows in the low 40s. So it is going to be chilly. First thing, Easter Sunday, a lot of folks are going to be up early, headed to Sunday services for Easter. Grab a jacket, grab a sweater to go with your Easter Sunday best there, because it's going to be chilly first thing that morning. And then even into the afternoon, we're only going to climb into the upper 50s, maybe 60. So even though Easter Sunday is going to be sunny, it is going to be on the cooler side throughout the day. We'll then hold on to the cooler temperatures, 50s and 60s through Monday and Tuesday. And then we start to gradually warm up then as we go through the second half of next week. So all this to say, if you need to mow your grass, get that done this afternoon. This afternoon, the rain chances are very isolated. Most of you are going to stay dry. So go ahead and get that grass mowed if you need to do it, because it is going to be rainy throughout the day tomorrow. And it's going to be enough rain that depending on how your yard is laid out, if you've got some low spots where the water kind of pools, it's probably going to be muddy even into Easter Sunday. And who wants to mow the grass on Easter Sunday, right? But then as we get into Monday, things dry back out, and we should be back in the clear. One upside to the rainy Saturday is it's going to help wet down that pollen. The pollen count is very high. I know that many folks who have seasonal allergies like myself, you probably are dealing with the sniffles and whatnot today because that pollen count is still so high. It's just that time of year. The rain tomorrow is actually going to help wet that pollen down, kind of wash it out of the air so that we don't have that dust of pollen on your cars and things like that. It's going to wash all that away and pull that pollen count down. The bad news is after getting that rain, all the plants are going to be super excited and sprout back up again, and the pollen count goes crazy high again as we get into next week. So that's just the time of year that we're stuck in right now. I do want to talk about the extended outlook because I want to give at least a mention to next weekend, and I'll show you why. We've got that drop in our temperatures behind the cold front tomorrow. I mentioned Sunday, Monday, Tuesday on the cooler side, 50s and 60s there. Wednesday, though, a warm front swings through the tri-state. Our wind direction changes. We start pulling that warm air in from the south again, and we know all too well the power of that southerly breeze. We start climbing back through the 70s then as we go through the second half of next week. The extended outlook for next weekend then shows a good chance of above average temperatures, but it also shows a chance of above average precipitation. And when you look specifically at the hazards outlook, you get a clearer picture of what that might mean. This looks a little messy because we've got two different things mapped on top of each other, so let's take them one at a time. Let's start with the green highlight there, which shows the potential for heavy precipitation. You'll notice the greatest chance is down to the southwest here, but the tri-state is included in that threat of heavy precipitation possible sometime between Saturday, April 11th and Tuesday, April 14th. So sometime next weekend or maybe lingering into the start of the following week, there is the potential that we could have some heavy precipitation. The other contour on here is this potential for high winds that does include the tri-state and many areas off to our west there and to our northwest. That is a potential for some high winds from Saturday, April 11th through Sunday, April 12th. So looking at them together, you see this risk of heavy rain and gusty winds next weekend with rain chances then into the start of the following week as well. So that right there should tell you that while we do have this warm up as we go through next week, and it looks like we'll stay dry next week too. We've got a very rainy Saturday, but Sunday through Friday will probably stay dry. By next weekend, though, we'll probably have our next weather system moving through where you see those gusty winds, changing direction, bringing in rain, all of that kind of stuff. So we'll probably have some more rain to track for you as we get into next weekend. So at least we'll be dry during the work week, but personally I'd rather have rain during the work week and have dry weekends. So no such luck this time around. Very rainy throughout the day tomorrow. Again, the alert is for that potential for maybe some heavy rain or a few gusts of wind there that could, blow things around, just cause problems. It's more nuisance weather than it is severe weather. It's just that the weather on Saturday is going to be problematic, specifically for outdoor events, and there's so many of them on Easter weekend. So that's why we did this first alert weather day. If you're going to stay indoors in your house, then Saturday's weather is of no threat to you. It's really just that it's going to be impactful to outdoor events as widespread rain, soaking rain is likely, and there's that isolated chance that we could see some gusty winds that could blow loose objects around, and maybe even some isolated flooding too. Behind that cold front bringing us the rain, mostly sunny but much cooler for Easter Sunday. Again, make sure everybody has a sweater or a jacket factored into their Easter outfit this year, because it is going to be a little chilly, especially that morning, staying cool through Monday and Tuesday, then gradually warming back up with more wind and rain chances maybe as we get into next weekend, but it's a little too early to talk details on that. All right. Amber says it's very pretty today. Yes, it is. It is. It's a beautiful day out there. There's some very, very spotty rain, so don't be shocked if you get rained on for just a minute or two. But it's mostly dry. It's breezy, but it's warm. Unfortunately, the weather not so beautiful for the holiday weekend. So get out and enjoy it today. Tomorrow, breezy, rainy, maybe some thunderstorms out there, and then cooler, but at least it'll be mostly sunny for Easter Sunday. All right, if there are no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Let's see. Oh yeah, Zach just had a comment on any potential severe weather tomorrow, and you are correct on the possible threat, Zach. Again, overall, our severe weather threat for Saturday is very low. Think of it more as a nuisance alert than a severe alert. But if we were to get any severe storms on Saturday, heavy rain and gusty winds are the threats. We are not concerned about tornadoes or hail tomorrow. So you're in the clear on both of those, Zach. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions, so I'm going to wrap this up. Meteorologist Michael Fecca will have an updated look at your forecast on 14 News tonight at 4, 5, 6, and 10, and he'll have another streaming show tonight at 9, so I hope you'll join him for that then. Everybody have a great Easter weekend.